wrestling with this man. So this is the pre-incarnate Christ, the messenger of Jehovah, and seeing him is to see God face to face. So, very explicit, I saw God face to face while wrestling with this man. So, the pre-incarnate Christ is the one who is being wrestled with here. Now, if you look at Hosea 12:3 and 4, Hosea comments upon this Genesis passage. Hosea 12:3 and 4. Hosea 12:3 and 4, commenting upon that passage in Genesis. Just like the New Testament refers to the Old Testament, frequently the later Old Testament books do refer back to earlier Old Testament events. So here talking about Jacob, it says, "He took his brother by the heel and in the womb, and by his strength and power with God. Yea, he had power over the angel and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him. He found him in Bethel, and there he spake with us, even the Lord God of hosts." The Lord is his memorial. So here, the person, it says that when Jacob is making supplication to the angel of the Lord in Bethel, which is where this wrestling is taking place, he's coming back to Bethel. And so he's in Bethel, he's wrestling with the angel there. He asks him for blessing. Well, the angel of the Lord who he's wrestling with is God, verse 3, is Jehovah God of hosts, verse 5. So this one who Jacob is wrestling with, Hosea clearly indicates, is Jehovah of hosts. That's who this man is who Jacob is wrestling with. He's Jehovah God of hosts. This actually relates, take a look at John 1:18. This relates to all these texts where Jehovah is seen. So this actually is important commentary on all sorts of texts like that. John 1:18 is a key interpretive statement for these texts where Jehovah is seen in the Old Testament. John 1:18 says, "No man hath seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him." Now, when it says no one has seen God, it's speaking about the Father, as you can see from the last part of the verse, the Son in the bosom of the Father. So no one has ever seen God the Father. So whenever they saw God in the Old Testament, they were seeing the only begotten Son. So all the appearances of Jehovah, where Jehovah was seen, are appearances of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, according to John 1:18. And sometimes Trinitarians will say, well, they didn't really see God in the Old Testament. Well, yeah, they did. I mean, we just saw a whole bunch. It specifically says they saw God face to face. So when Jacob saw God face to face, he was seeing the only begotten Son, who is revealing the Father, who is eternally in his bosom. And other texts also say no one's ever seen the Father. 1 Timothy 6 says, 6:16 says that the Father, speaking of the Father, says, "Whom no man hath seen nor can see." So when they saw God in the Old Testament, they were seeing Jesus Christ. Yeah, 1 Timothy 6:16 says, "No man hath seen nor can see the Father." So the Father is invisible. No one has ever seen him. No one ever will see him. But the Son is the one who was seen. So whenever they saw Jehovah, they were seeing the Son of God, Jesus Christ, according to John 1:18. All right, go back to Genesis 48. Here's another text where the angel of Jehovah is clearly identified as deity. Genesis 48. Genesis 48, 15 and 16. You can see these are quite frequent passages. The testimony to the deity of the angel of Jehovah is pervasive. It's not just one text. There's a lot of texts where this is taking place. Now, here, there is this blessing which Jacob is giving to Joseph. Now, it says here, and here we can be thankful for how literal the King James is. If you have like a dynamic, like an NIV or whatever, you don't know if it's being accurate with the Hebrew. But here, it's reproducing the Hebrew syntax like the King James does because it's such a wonderful translation. 15, "And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them in the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now, we have to use some grammar here. There is a verb in verse 16, the verb bless. What is the subject of the verb bless? There's actually a threefold subject of the verb bless in verse 16. There are several clauses that are showing the subject of verse 16.
God.
Sure, the first one is God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk. So God, and he's the one before whom. So God before whom, first subject. Next clause with the subject.
The God which fed me.
Good. The God which fed me. One more.
The angel.
The angel. The angel which redeemed me. Bless the last. So you can see here, the angel of Jehovah is identified as Jacob's God. The God who he walked before, the God which fed him, was the angel of Jehovah. We can also see here that the angel of Jehovah, now the God before whom his fathers Abraham, so the angel of Jehovah was also Abraham and Isaac's God, because the God before whom he did walk is the angel of Jehovah. Also, you can see that the God which fed me, he shepherded me. So the shepherd, the one who cares for him, is also identified as the angel. And the angel identified as the Redeemer. So he's the one who redeemed him from all evil. So the angel of Jehovah redeemed Jacob from his sin and from all other troubles in his life. The angel had the power to do that. So the angel of Jehovah is clearly identified as God, and he's the one who blesses Joseph and those guys. And so he's the one who gives the Abrahamic covenant blessings. So clearly the angel of Jehovah is deity, and he's also... And you can see in verse 16, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads. These are singular verbs. Like bless is a singular verb. So it isn't three different subjects here. This is a singular verb. These three are one subject. It's not a plural verb. Singular verb.
Is
God.
it a plural verb?
What is it?
Like, he blesses her would be
Well,
a singular verb.
That's true. But here it's an invocation. Just like I might say, may you bless me. So it's an invocation. It's not like an indicative like that. Good question. Yeah. But so he's asking
Oh, okay.
God, the angel, bless. So this is a singular verb. So the singular verb is all three. Who does that?
Who are the lads?
The lads are here. It's Joseph,
Oh.
Joseph's kids, Ephraim and Manasseh. So give the Abrahamic covenant to Ephraim and Manasseh. And this identifying of the messenger as the redeemer, the word redeemer is the goel. That's the Old Testament word for the kinsman redeemer. This is the one who in Job says, I know that my redeemer liveth, and he shall stay in latter days upon the earth, and in my flesh I will see God. This is actually the redeemer. So the angel is the redeemer, the messenger of Jehovah. Take a look at Exodus 3. Here we have the burning bush. Obviously it's Jehovah who's in the burning bush. but is also the angel who's in the burning bush. So verse 2, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, unto Moses, in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when Jehovah saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. And that's the verse that was quoted in the book of Joshua, which you mentioned earlier, Joshua 5:14. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And Jehovah in the midst of the bush says, I am and I am, different things. So it's Jehovah who's in the midst of the bush, but it's the angel of Jehovah that actually is in the midst of the bush too, according to verse 2. So here in this place where the name Jehovah is even defined, it's the angel of Jehovah who is in the midst of the bush saying, I am the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Take a look at Exodus 23 and verse 21. Exodus 23:21. Oh, we mentioned this one already, where the angel says, obey his voice, for my name is in him. Or did we? No, we didn't. Did we look at this one already?
Yeah, 20 to 23.
Oh, yeah, okay. So here the angel of Jehovah says, you need to listen to the angel, of course, my name is in him. So, so he has Jehovah's name in him. And so he's able to determine things with sin. So yeah, we already mentioned that one. There's other angel of Jehovah texts. But look at Judges 13:18. This is a particularly interesting one. I mean, everything in the Bible is obviously very interesting, but we'll look at Judges 13 verse 18. Here we have Manoah. And the angel of Jehovah here is redeeming people in Manoah's time. So Judges 13 and verse, there's this angel that appears to Manoah's wife, and says that Samson's going to be born. And then the angel appears to Manoah also. And he gives Manoah what the law of the Nazarite is in Judges 13 and following. And so then we have this conversation. Manoah is talking to the angel of Jehovah. I'll start in verse 15, Judges 13:15. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee. And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, That thou detain me, I will not eat thy bread, and if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer unto the Lord. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, What is thy name, that when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor? And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Why askest thou after my name, seeing it is secret? The why askest thou after my name, that's what the angel said in Genesis 32. Remember when he was wrestling with Jacob? Jacob says, What's your name? He says, Why are you asking my name? Now here he says, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is a secret? And we're talking about. Now the word secret there means beyond human comprehension or wonderful. The King James margin actually says secret could also be translated wonderful. So the name of the angel of Jehovah is secret or wonderful. It refers back to Genesis 32. But also, this word secret or wonderful is related to Isaiah 9:6, where the Messiah is called wonderful. So the angel of Jehovah's name is secret/wonderful, and he's the wonderful counselor of Isaiah 9:6. So why askest thou my name when my name is beyond human comprehension? It's secret/wonderful. So the messenger of Jehovah, his name is wonderful or secret. And in 13:19, where it says that he did wondrously, that's also the same root form. When he did wonderfully and he ascended in Manoah's sacrifice, which I think in verse 20, which relates also to him being the Redeemer through his death. And notice in 22, Manoah said to his wife, We shall surely die because we have seen God. So Manoah recognizes the angel of Jehovah as God in verse 22. So the messenger of Jehovah here, his name is the wonderful name of the Messiah. He has this wonderful secret name, this name beyond human comprehension, because his name is Jehovah. He's Jehovah. And again, Manoah, when he sees the angel, he saw God. and so he's afraid he's going to die. And there are many other texts with the angel of Jehovah in the Old Testament. So, the angel of Jehovah, there's two. God is both transcendent and with his people. So as you can see, the angel of Jehovah, the transcendent God, God who is separate from creation, that's one feature of who God is. And you can see that distinction in Jehovah is transcendent, and that he's the messenger of Jehovah. Jehovah, for him to come to people, this messenger is required. They can't directly come to the Father. But you can also see God's identification with his people too, in the fact that the messenger of Jehovah is also God. So there's a transcendent God. The angel of Jehovah is the mediator who mediates God's presence and the blessings and redemption. Basically, this is the Son of God who brings you to the Father. He's the one who can bring you to the Father. So there's identity with Jehovah and distinction from Jehovah. So no modalism, because he's distinct from Jehovah, and no Arianism, because he is Jehovah himself. And the difference between the messenger of Jehovah and the incarnation of Christ is these were temporary manifestations. But the fact that the Son of God was appearing in the Old Testament in these temporary manifestations really prepares the way for the permanent incarnation of the Son permanently becoming flesh. So it was very appropriate that the one who is revealing the Father and appealing to people in the Old Testament in these temporary forms, like this man, when he appeared to Jacob, this was a temporary appearance to Jacob wrestling with him. So these different appearances, these temporary appearances, really prepare the way for the permanent incarnation of the Son in a human body in the New Testament. Also, and these texts, they're good for showing the deity of Christ to Jews also. But for example, in Justin Martyr, remember we talked about him, he was an early patristic writer. When he was trying to show the truth of Christianity to unbelieving Jews, he used these texts to show the deity of the Messiah in the Old Testament. And if you remember in the Watchtower pamphlet, Should You Believe in the Trinity, they say Justin Martyr said that the Messiah was a created angel, or Jesus is a created angel, and they don't know what they're talking about. What they're confusing is Justin Martyr is saying Jesus is the angel of Jehovah, and the angel of Jehovah is deity. We saw clearly Justin Martyr taught that he's deity. So they say, well, Justin Martyr said that Jesus is the angel of Jehovah. He's an angel, so he must be created. But they're missing the whole point. Justin Martyr was showing what the whole Old Testament shows, which is that the angel of Jehovah is actually both distinct from the Father and yet is also deity himself. All right. Any questions about that's the angel of Jehovah as evidence for deity? And that's a pretty important one. So the angel of Jehovah is clearly the pre-incarnate Christ. Any questions about any of those texts? Angel of Jehovah, deity in the Old Testament. These are passages that an Trinitarian is not going to be prepared to deal with. He won't really know what to say because he doesn't. Their little book of anti-Trinitarian proof texts doesn't deal with any of these texts. So if you ask him, why no one's seen Jehovah ever, John 1:18, no one's ever seen the Father. Now, if no one's ever seen the Father, who was Jacob wrestling when he wrestled with Jehovah face to face? Who was that? Who could that be? Or Genesis 48, how can the angel which redeemed me be the God? They won't know. They'll never have heard an argument like that before very long. Okay, we'll take a break, and we'll come back with more Old Testament deity of Christ's texts after a break.